Welcome back, Newstalk. Once again, our guest is Utica Attorney Mark Wolber, here to answer your legal questions. If you do have any, 793 WKTV, and I hear they're lined up, Mark.
Okay.
You're quite popular. It must be just like the radio show.
I'm ready.
Hello, what's your question for Mark this morning? Hi, good morning.
Ellie.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
My question's about child support. I'm currently on, the county. I'm going for my disability. And the judge has gone ahead and gave a figure of $65 a week when I'm only making $85 every 2 weeks. So how is that legal? I don't understand.
That shouldn't be right. If you are on public assistance and you have minimal income, you can still be made to pay child support, but it's generally going to be a matter of $25 a month. Mm-hmm. So it would be a small amount. The child support cannot be $65 out of an $85 a week income. That wouldn't work out. So there's something isn't right, but the child support can't be that high a percentage of your income. So you have to leave you something to live on. Well, you have to go back to court, have a hearing, and if the judge orders an amount that's excessive, then you can appeal that to the support magistrates make the first decision in child support cases. Mm-hmm. And then if you don't like that, you can appeal it to the family court judge, and sometimes that gets overturned.
Makes sense. Hi, John, what's your question for Mark?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
I have a question for Mark concerning security deposits in New York. Kind of a three-part question. Number one, are landlords required to pay interest on security deposits held in New York? Number two, how would that interest or amount it accrues, especially over a long period of time, be determined? And number three, are there any legal reasons that they could withhold security deposits or interest accrued on it, when it's returned?
Interest has to be paid on security deposits. I believe it is if you have a 4-unit dwelling or more. Then you have to pay interest on it. If it's like a 2-family house, for example, you wouldn't have to pay interest on that security deposit. When interest is paid on a security deposit, it is deposited in a separate account in a bank, and whatever that bank pays as interest, that's the amount that is added to the security deposit for interest. The person whose security deposit is on deposit, however, has to pay tax on that interest. So the 1099 that comes from the bank for the interest on the security deposit, it's actually charged to the tenant. At the end of the term, the landlord is permitted to withhold amounts from the security deposit to cover damage to the apartment. That's generally what it's supposed to cover. Mm-hmm. Sometimes if there's back rent or a water bill that isn't paid, you can cover that as well. Under the new law, however, you've got to be careful because the new law says that when the tenant has vacated the apartment, the landlord has 14 days to provide to the tenant in writing the basis for any deductions from the security deposit. You've got to give an itemized list within 14 days. Otherwise, you can't claim anything from a security deposit. And people are not aware of that mm-hmm. law, and landlords are losing out on what might be a legitimate deduction by not providing it. So 14 days from the time the tenant moves out, you must provide them with written notice of the itemization of the deductions from the security deposit.
Oh, good question. Hello, Robert. What's your question this morning? Hi, good morning, Robert.
Yes.
Yes, your question for Mark.
I want to find out. I received an inheritance this past year, and I was wondering if I have to claim that on my income tax return.
I like nice, easy questions like that. The answer is no.
Oh, that's nice.
Inheritance, I like to give you the answer that you want to hear.
Yeah.
And there's no possibly or anything else. An inheritance is not taxable income to the recipient. After I said that, there is possibly an exception. If a portion of that inheritance is interest, that could be passed along to the beneficiary. So there's a possibility that you might have to pay some tax on some interest. But if you inherit, I'll give you a simple example. If you are left 100 shares of stock in a corporation and that stock has not been sold, there'd be no tax on that. So the general rule is inheritances are not taxable income to the recipient. And along the same lines, because this comes up all the time as well, a gift that is given from one person to another is not taxable to the recipient. And if you give someone $100,000, that person who receives it does not have to pay any income tax on that amount. So gifts and inheritance are not taxable income to the recipient.
Wow, a lot of tax questions these days.
Well, this is the season, unfortunately.
Well, we are going to see you in March already.
That's nice.
Can you believe it?
Then this will be almost over.
Yeah. January flew by, didn't it?
It did.
That's for sure. Well, thank you so much for coming in.
You're welcome.
We'll see you in March when things start to
I
warm up.
hope so. Should be a little nicer.
Spring's coming early.
Yes.
Stay with us. We are back to wrap things up right after this.